Hello, welcome to Recapping with Delora
and Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Recapping Podcast.
Also, comment, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We would love to hear your ratings of the movies and shows we review.
Email us your audio file to recappingpodcast@gmail.com and we will play it during the show.
Or DM us on Instagram and we will post and read it on air.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Ashley, we're 1 year old. Like,
I know,
oh
right?
my gosh.
All we're missing is the cake. But yes, we made it. Lord, we made it.
We made it. What a first year we've had. We've been able to grow our social media, our audience, countries around the world.
Yes.
We've been able to expand. We see you out here in Nigeria. Okay. What a wonderful year.
We were nominated for a Black Podcasting Award.
We were in our first year, so we did not win. But congratulations to you, Ashley, for winning for Colorblind.
Thank you so much.
How exciting is that?
It's amazing. Yes, my podcast, guys, that I do produce for Cox Media Group called Colorblind Race Across Generations, won Best News Informative Podcast. It was amazing. Thank you so much to the hostess with the mostest, Vanessa Eccles, for all of your hard work, for being such a consummate, amazing professional and doing the damn thing every week. So it was amazing. Yes. Thank you so much. But yes, we did not win this award, but guess what, guys? We're going to keep plugging away. And I guarantee you, we're going to be an award-winning podcast as well.
I know that's right. Quote, sweetie. And with that said, Ashley, thank you. Let's get into some quick headlines. All right, so I am looking at cbssports.com. It states Super Bowl 2022 halftime show. Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Dr. Dre, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar will headline. This article also states the lineup boasts a combined 43 Grammy wins. Ashley, Super Bowl 56 is going to be held in Los Angeles, February of 2022. Jay-Z states that Dr. Dre, a musical visionary from Compton, Snoop Dogg, an icon from Long Beach, and Kendrick Lamar, a young musical pioneer in his own right, also from Compton, will take center field for a performance of a lifetime. And yeah, and then we have Eminem, which we all know, it's from the D, and then the wonderful Mary J. Blige from New York. How do you feel about this lineup, Ashley?
I wish I could say like, I read it and I was super excited. I think it's interesting. I think it's definitely interesting. I get the whole LA tie. Kendrick, I'm sure will be amazing. Is Dr. Dre gonna have a new album out before this comes out? Probably not, but I'm sure he'll pull out some cuts.
Does he need one though?
He doesn't, but I'm saying, would this not be a great time for the long-awaited next album to drop right before the Super Bowl? Sure, but no, he doesn't need it. He's a billionaire. But it's an interesting mix. I will say that for sure. I'm curious to see how they do the sets. But my final thought was, so is the NFL just forgiven? Like, are we moving on from everything that has happened now because Jay-Z and Rock Nation have decided to, curate these Super Bowl halftime shows now? Is everything copacetic, Delora?
That's so funny, Ashley. Are these artists forgiven? Dr. Dre, the notorious allegedly wife beater, not the current one, but the past ones or girlfriends. Obviously, I think Snoop Dogg has been forgiven because he's everybody's uncle. But let's not forget Eminem's problematic ass. Okay, so
Well, in the world of hip hop, I definitely think that they all are. I don't even know if forgiven is the word, because I just don't feel like these scandals have followed them the way that it has for some other artists.
the way it should follow them, I think that's what you're trying to say.
I'm choosing my words. I'm choosing my words.
But Ashley, the first thing that I thought about was the censors are going to be busy that night. I mean, I actually had flashbacks of the great halftime show with the, infamous nipple slip with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake. And I say that because after that dynamic performance, we had nothing but classic rock bands for many, many years after.
Sprinkle in a little Gaga, sprinkle in a little Katy Perry.
Exactly, quote unquote, safe artists. No one's safe in this lineup. So I just, it should be very interesting.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to rip off Mary J's top. But again, it's an interesting mix. We'll see what happens.
I can't wait for her to do her little shuffle. It's going to be everything.
I just don't want to know what she's going to wear and what her hair color is going to be. So we'll see.
Oh, wonderful inquiries, Ashley. All right. So our second quick headline this week, and I'm reading this from billboard.com. Lizzo faces backlash for posing with Chris Brown and calling him her, quote, favorite person. As we all know, there's the Millennium Tour going on, starring Ashanti, Bow Wow, B2K, and more. And guess what? Chris Brown is part of that more. Lizzo, who is literally about our age, a millennial, was backstage getting her life, okay? And she wanted to take a picture with Chris Brown. And in efforts to do that, she told him that he was her favorite person in the world. And someone caught that on video, Ashley. It should just be safe to just assume you're on camera one way or another, right?
At all times.
Well, of course, Twitter had a lot to say about this video coming out. This one Twitter user stated, Chris Brown being your fave person is just really pathetic. But 90% of y'all's faves, including mine, have worked with that man, so don't act brand new with Lizzo. There's another one that said, people wanting an apology from Lizzo to Rihanna for taking picture with Chris Brown. And they have a video of Rihanna promoting her Fenty beauty line, particularly the lip balms, playing Chris Brown's music. So Ashley, is this a big deal or no?
I felt confused because the part that somebody said about he's been releasing music with your faves, like facts. Like I just, is it because she's a woman? Is it because she's a Black woman? You talk about Dr. Dre and Eminem, like Chris Brown obviously has a problematic history, but it seems that the masses for the most part have at least moved on to still want to listen to his music. So for Lizzo to fan out backstage about it is not a story to me. I didn't understand it. I didn't get the big deal, but that's just me. What about you?
Does the internet not understand flattery? Like, of course you're going to butter up somebody you're trying to get a picture with. You know what I mean? And especially with people with egos as big as musicians and actors.
How many of y'all are still listening to Michael? How many of y'all are still out here talking about, well, I'm still going to play Step in the Name of Love at the barbecue? I'm just saying, this is why I try to choose my words carefully in the headliner talk, because y'all know everybody got them artists. Y'all claim, oh, I don't listen to their music anymore. I guarantee you when they come on the radio, you still singing that song now. So, let it go.
It really was not that big of a deal to me. And I'm just gonna say this. You know, Rihanna has forgiven him.
She got back together with him briefly.
She got back together with him. They have released music together. Someone did say this, well, actually it was Nina Parker from Daily Pop. She said that people who are triggered by him do not have to forgive him. And, you know, even though Rihanna, who was abused by him, has forgiven him, if you don't want to forgive him, you don't have to. But, you know, it's just one of those things where
nobody is excusing what he did. He's not even excusing what he did. So
exactly. So at this point, just use your own discretion, please. All right. So let's get into these hot topics, Ashley.
And again, we do not promote domestic violence of any kind on this podcast.
Thank you for that, Ashley. Ashley, it is time to talk about the great social media blackout that happened on October 4th, 2021. Our podcast birthday, by the way. So on Monday, Facebook suffered an outage that lasted 6 hours. Businesses suffered along with it. The platform and its Instagram and WhatsApp siblings play key roles in commerce, and some companies relying on Facebook's network instead of their own websites. I'm reading this from NPR article called Why Facebook and Instagram Went Down for Hours on Monday. So Ashley, ultimately, Facebook blamed the outage on some issues with their server. I want to say that it's interesting that their server went down the way it did, literally the day after the 60-minute interview with the Facebook whistleblower. Looking now at CNN Business, she testified in front of Congress actually today, but on Monday, the much anticipated report came out revealing that Facebook has been receiving a lot of criticism for not monitoring their platform in a way to keep people safe. More specifically, in regards to the increase of hate speech, hate crimes, things along those lines. So during the election, they did that, but guess what? They stopped it, according to this whistleblower, as soon as the election was over. And she essentially said that Facebook benefits from negative posts more than happy ones. Ashley, were you affected by this outage?
I was not. I did think about those who work-wise have to use it, because we in my company do use it for work reasons, as well as, you know, obviously it being our anniversary and wanting to post something about that. But otherwise, I have to be completely honest with you, I felt relieved. It was kind of like, that doesn't exist at the moment. It was almost like a sense of pressure or something being removed, that these platforms are not available to even be looked at or be consumed. So I saw like certain people posting like, oh, now I know I'm addicted, right? Because it's down and I'm feeling that withdrawal. For me, it was literally the complete opposite. Now, like you say, it was only 6 hours. If this had been days, maybe we'd be having a different conversation, because, you know, again, we do utilize it, and I think it's great for promotional purposes and business purposes and things like that. But for my day-to-day, you know, I don't love social media. So relief was a big feeling for me. What about for you?
I felt addicted, and primarily because I was trying to post our happy birthday post. Okay? And at first I thought it was just my phone, because anyone who's an Apple user knows whenever a new Apple phone is going to come out, there's going to be some glitches, right? So I am well overdue for a new phone. So I was thinking, oh my goodness, my phone is acting up. And it took me going to Twitter, okay, to realize, oh no, Facebook and Instagram are down. So Ashley, I also thought about this, right? The monopoly of it all.
Mhm.
Honestly, Facebook, whenever they are threatened, they either buy them out or like smash their competition, right?
Right.
Facebook holds my favorite social media app, Instagram, right?
Yep.
Um, and I could live without Facebook, but Instagram, I love me some Instagram. You know what I mean?
And WhatsApp is really valuable to me in terms of when I've traveled internationally, being able to stay in touch with people. It has been a
Yes.
lifesaver. And then also because I am an Android user, still at the moment, for the iPhone, Android love, it just doesn't exist. So WhatsApp is great to be able to get some imagery, some videos, some different things. So I definitely understand that we rely on these things heavily, but man, 6 hours was nice. It was a nice little vacation.
Sure, sure, Ashley. I just, I was very suspicious on why it went down the way it did. So who knows if they were doing some cleanup.
Well, the suspicion part is very valid. And Mark Zuckerberg's statements haven't really helped in his general
Have you seen
attitude.
videos of him talk? It's like, does he
Yeah.
have a soul? Like, I don't
Whoa,
understand.
whoa,
He's
whoa,
very robotic. He's very
whoa.
like,
Well, he's a tech guy. Well, I shouldn't say that because Steve Jobs, some people were very charismatic, so I shouldn't say
yes,
that. But I just think that
zero charisma. Or I'm sorry, as much charisma as it is in toast, right? So that's about it.
more of a programmer side. No offense, mom. I know you're a computer programmer, but yeah, I feel like the side of it of concern and wondering what the real culprit was is absolutely valid. And I'm curious to see what happens moving forward because now, Congress wants to speak to him and, there's just a lot that could potentially happen with this. So
He stays in Washington. I hope he buys a house there because
well, Boohoo losing 6 billion, right? You still worth 121, so you'll
girl,
be fine.
exactly. He'll be fine. Oh, someone on Twitter had me cracking up. They're like, where did that money go? Is any of this real?
My thoughts exactly. Like, did his accountant even make a call? I doubt it, right? I doubt it.
If anything, stocks were sold, if anything. But yeah.
Can I just get half of a half? Like, that's all I need. We'll be good.
Girl. That part. All right, Ashley. So we didn't get a chance to talk about the second hot topic last week, but it has been buzzing for a couple of weeks now. I'm reading this headline from Entertainment Weekly. Ellen Pompeo says she and the great Denzel Washington went at it, quote unquote, when he directed Grey's Anatomy. So Ellen decided to tell Patrick Dempsey on her podcast called Tell Me with Ellen Pompeo that she had some type of epic fight between Denzel. In the episode, her character, Meredith Grey, was asked to listen to an apology from a man who seriously injured her, leaving her jaw broken. Okay. And in the scene, the guy was speaking softly and not looking at her. She then tells the actor, look at me when you're apologizing to me. And Denzel was like, hold up, right? She said Denzel, quote, went ham on my ass. She continued by saying, he was like, I'm the director. Don't tell him what to do. And I was like, listen, mother effer, this is my show. This is my set. Who are you telling? Like, you barely know where the bathroom is. And I have the utmost respect for him as an actor, as a director, as everything, but like, yo, we went at it one day. She concludes the story basically saying that when the great Paulina shows up to set, she tells on him like, he's a toddler in preschool.
Oh, I missed that part of the story.
This is what Ellen said. I was like, yeah, he yelled at me today. Yeah, he let me have it today. And I'm not okay with him. And I'm not looking at him and I'm not talking to him, Pompeo said. So we didn't get through it without a fight. But you know, that's actors for you. Passionate and fiery. And that's where you get the magic and that's where you get the good stuff. So it was an amazing experience. It really was. Ashley, has Ellen lost her ever-loving mind?
I appreciate the context around the scene itself because I wasn't aware of the intensity of the particular scene because I don't watch Grey's. So that helps to know that at least the characters were supposed to be in like a heightened state, which makes a little more sense to me as to why maybe she was, upset. But when this story came out and I read it, I barely had any reaction at all because in my mind, it's like, no offense, Ellen Pompeo, but this is Denzel Washington. Like, I doubt Denzel even, this was a blip on his radar. Like, I doubt he possibly remembers this. And if he did, it was probably vague because Denzel Washington is a superstar. He is a movie star, ma'am. And I find
another Oscar for his portrayal of Macbeth coming up very soon.
I just find it comical to think that you felt it within you to speak to him this way. I get it. The dynamics on the set, yes, Grey's Anatomy is based around your character. You've been on the show now for how many seasons still are 18?
Girl, a lot. And I've been there the whole entire time.
But I just can't imagine speaking to him like that. And granted, yes, I don't feel like he necessarily should have, the way that the story is portrayed, spoken to her like that either. But I'm not an actor, director. I don't work on these sets to know what those exchanges are like. I don't think he called her a mother effer. I highly doubt that. Clearly not. He may have gotten a little feisty, but she took it to the next level for sure. But again, I just felt like it was funny to retell this story because Denzel probably would never retell this story. Why? It's not relevant to him.
Never.
But nice that you felt like that you had a story to share about someone of that caliber, Ellen. Good for you, I guess.
So this is what I have to say about this situation. Ellen, we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you, okay? Like, she is down for the cause 99% of the time, right? She married a Black man. She has brown children.
She said, I feel more comfortable around Black people. That's what she said once. I feel more comfortable around Black people.
But that does not give you a pass to be disrespecting grown men at the workplace. Yeah. And on top of that, we're talking Denzel Washington.
That's what I'm saying. Black Hollywood royalty, general Hollywood royalty.
That's what I'm saying. Outside of Blackness, he's like OJ. It's like, I'm not Black.
But see, Denzel would never say that bullshit though.
He would never say that. But you understand what I'm trying to say.
And Denzel said, I'm not an actor, I'm a human being. So listen, when he was trying to relate to you on a very human level, I'm talking shit now, y'all don't listen to me.
No, but there are a handful of our Black actors who've been able to transcend that way. We're talking Will Smith, we're talking Denzel, we're talking Michael Jackson, we're talking, you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, Beyonce. Michael Jordan, yes.
Yes. So it was just so... She could have kept this story. This was real locker room talk that nobody really needed to hear.
I'm telling you, it's because who has a story like this to tell about us like superstars? Like, even if it's bad, sometimes people just tell these stories because when else are you going to have a story of this caliber? Like, and you have a podcast now, podcast people just share their whole souls. And she was comfortable. She was a little too comfortable.
They're trying to get people to listen, and I'm sure she's going to tell behind baseball stories and all that. But
do you feel like it's going to be Shonda's job to have a combo with her after this and say, sis?
Well, you do know Shonda ain't a part of her show no more, so she might get paid for the original content.
They probably still friends though to be like, Ellen, Chill.
Well, I didn't want to have to go here, Ashley, but it is out here in these internet streets an interview that Ellen, Viola Davis, Kerry Washington, and Shonda all did together for Entertainment Weekly, I believe. And it's an interaction between Viola and Ellen, and Viola talking about the colorism and how that's affected her career through these years. And Ellen goes on to say, oh, well, you don't need to worry about that. You don't have to worry about, people's small-mindedness. And Viola said that she doesn't have that luxury to do that. Helen goes and cries off set because I guess Viola told her flat out, like, okay, that's not my story. I appreciate this advice, but on to me answering this question. Viola and Shonda continue the interview, and Ellen cries, leaves, and then comes back because nobody
followed her.
Yes. So it's out here in these internet streets, and I'm just like, woo! Her situation keeps showing up every now and then. I'm trying to be real nice, and you know where I'm trying to say, Ashley, but
yeah,
it must be innate. Anyway, Ellen, we don't need these stories. Because you are married to a Black man does not give you a pass. This was disrespectful. This isn't even cool. It was just unnecessary. And now Grace has suffered low ratings in their premiere week. First time like ever. Because people were not with the bullshit. She must want the show to end. And mind you, guess who brought Denzel in for Ellen? The great Debbie Allen, who's the producer of the show.
Right.
Debbie, okay, because the conversation, the reason why this had happened specifically with Patrick was because Ellen didn't see why she needed to stay after he left. And Debbie, being an executive producer, was like, let me bring in this caliber of star who has experience, because he's not only an award-winning actor, but he's a director, producer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Let him direct an episode. So he came in as a favor, and I'm sure he was like, what is up with the bullshit? Like,
again, not even a blip on his radar. Denzel probably heard this came out. He was like, oh, she's silly. Anyway.
Yeah. Now it's time for a quick microdose. All right, Ashley, we're going to keep it cute and sweet. This week on Dancing with the Stars was Britney Week. The stars danced to Britney's famous hits. Was it everything you were looking for and anticipated, or did it leave you wanting more?
I think song-wise, it gave me everything I wanted. Because remember last week I said that I really wanted I'm a Slave for You, and I wanted Oops, I Did It Again. And those were performed. Now, I did not enjoy the cover of I'm a Slave for You that the band did. I'm sorry, I know y'all did your best, but I was not a fan. But it was Surface, actually, they got stuck in my head. I think that was one of your requests. Like, there's only two types of people in the world, the ones that entertain and the ones that observe. Well, baby, I'm a put on a show kind of girl. That has lived rent-free in my mind for days. But the show itself, I enjoyed as usual. I'm glad Cody wasn't eliminated, like we texted about, because I think him and Cheryl, even though they were isolated due to COVID, they still put on a very impressive virtual performance. So I think it was a good night. What about you?
I thought it was a good night, but I'm not gonna lie. As you mentioned, some of the covers were a little rough. Like, it didn't give me the oomph that I know these songs have.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like some of the songs were slowed down, which happens on Dancing with the Stars because obviously people are dancing to them. But Britney is such a part of like our lives, our growing up. Like a major part, and I'm like, this really has the bob.
She
like,
did. I mean, even some of the faves that I just don't think about on a regular basis, like drive me crazy. I was so glad that it got included. And so when I talked last week about knowing a lot of her discography, I still know most of it from earlier in her career. You know what I mean? Not necessarily in the last maybe 5 to 10 years. So I forget about some of the songs that she's had even more recently that I've enjoyed. So it's Britney, bitch. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. How how did you enjoy Tyra's looks this week? Because she's obviously going for, the commentary at this point. It's kind of obvious. So.
Well, when we had the "I'm a slave for you" dress, we texted about that. I didn't prefer it. I thought it was very costumey.
It looked cheap.
Yeah,
it looked cheap.
It was not her best. But then again, to your point, if the point is just supposed to be to pay homage and to put on a few looks, then I guess she accomplished that. But there's work, there's improvement that I feel like could happen. Next week is Disney week, so we'll see what she wears.
Last question, Ashley. Who was your favorite? Your favorite dance of the night?
That is a good question. It probably was The Miz and his partner, just because it was to Oops, I Did It Again.
Whitney.
Thank you.
Yes.
And it was great energy. But I also have to say I love Melora and Artem, because Melora was feeling like she was not doing well. And we both talked about how graceful and beautiful she has been as a dancer. So I was
That's a strategy, I feel like.
You feel like the upsetness.
Yes, that's a strategy sometimes. Like, oh my goodness, I'm a top performer, but I am so hard on myself and these dances are so hard. And then you come out and dance your ass off. Yeah. I think it's staged sometimes.
Well, she fooled me because I was like, oh, Melora, yes, let's get these scores. So I think I very much enjoyed them. But again, overall, I can't think of a performance that I did not really like. I know Suni was a little bit off this week in terms of some things, but overall, again, I enjoyed the entire episode.
Yeah, for me, I enjoyed the episode for the most part. And my favorite dance actually goes to Kenya. I'm surprised by that, but I'm really impressed with her. I guess my expectations were pretty low, so that's why I've been enjoying her. So. All right, Ashley, what a fun hot topics this week. Are you excited for next week's recap?
Absolutely.
Excited. What are we recapping?
Excited. I should rephrase. Absolutely, I'm excited because I'm always excited for recaps, but this one is going to be interesting. Guys, we're doing 9 Perfect Strangers on Hulu. Just wrapped its 8-episode run. Check it out if you haven't already, and join us for a interesting recap. We'll see you then.
Bye.